Hello and welcome back to Be Kind Rewinder. Rewinder is an independent video game publication here to talk about the games that we care about in a thoughtful way. I'm your host and deputy editor, Lex Luddy, joined by our managing editor, Scott McRae, and our EIC, Henry Stockdale. On this episode, I hope you're ready to take out a second mortgage for all that RAM! But first, quick thank you to Jerome for all of our art. It's been a while since we've done a podcast. Me and Scott did a kind of informal stream of the real Simpsons video game, not this Fortnite bullshit, the other week. Henry, how are you doing?
Doing all right. I have survived. I am, getting by. It's busy, but I am better than I was. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I'm all good.
it is the busy season, and also the season for everyone to get sick.
It's a tough time for VR when the one game that comes out per year comes out, you know. That Deadpool VR grind must be rough.
You shut your mouth.
Hey, we actually have 2 VR games on the show this week, which is wild. 2 whole VR games.
Isn't that like a conflict of interest? Shouldn't you not?
No, he's going to talk about the flat screen version.
He's
it's
gonna
fine.
Get sacked, Henry.
Probably the flat screen version.
The flat screen version of Deadpool. Oh no!
Doesn't exist, but yeah.
Scott, how have you been? What have you been up to?
I bought a house.
Oh yeah,
I'm
that.
Tired.
Oops. Did you do it on purpose, or was it a mistake? Was it like when you accidentally buy something on Black Friday and you wake up the next day and you're like, I didn't fucking need any of that shit? Are you like, I don't need this house? What?
That's actually not close because it obviously takes weeks of lawyers meetings and stuff like that. But it was the first place we looked at, so basically, yeah, it was a very impulsive one, but it's a pretty good house. I don't know.
You need to store your Black Friday gains.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All,
This is where you're gonna put all of your GPUs that you're buying up.
I bought an iron.
People think there's a memory shortage. It's actually just Scott buying up all of the memory. We'll talk about
my walls.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about that later. But Scott's the reason that the Xbox Series X is going up in price again. Sorry. We've played a lot of video games since the last time that we did this, so we should just jump right in. Scott, I want to start with you because you have finally played something that me and Henry have both finished. I think, Henry, you'll finish this as well. Expedition 33. I've been getting small updates from you, and you like coming around on it and slowly being like, oh, this game really is that good. So now that you're done, can I hear a bit of your finished thoughts and how you're feeling about it? Now that, because it's been a few weeks since you finished it too. So
yeah, but we can change. Yeah, so I started playing it back in like July or something like that, and then I think I got Metal Gear in or something like that. Something for work came in, and then I stopped for like 3 months. But I got back to it. I watched a lot of YouTube recaps, but I got there, and yeah, that's a good ass game. I'm kind of in the. I feel I'm worried for the next RPG I play. Is maybe the nicest way to say it, because when I played Yakuza Like a Dragon, not like a Dragon,
Infinite Wealth
last year, and then I had Persona right after. I found myself really kind of missing that extra layer from Infinite Wealth where you can have to line up your shots and all that. So I'm quite worried because I love the combat, and Expedition 33. It kind of.
It's a tough act to follow in a lot of ways. Yeah. Like, it's so much of the gaming conversation since it's come out has wound up pivoting back to it in a lot of ways. Like, every game winds up being compared to it in different ways. And so any game that has more than a glancing resemblance to it, you know, it's the same problem that RPGs had after Persona 5 came out, of like, then that became the touchstone. So
finally, the third RPG is out.
Yeah, Final Fantasy 7,
Persona 5. But yeah, I mean, it's it kind of proves my point that I've been saying for even before I got into the biz of every game should just be Devil May Cry, and it's a better game because you can tell the developer, like the lead developer of that, was a Devil May Cry speedrunner. There is so much like, I mean, Verso is just Virgil's moveset slapped onto an RPG character. I do get what people say about the third act being a bit fucking weird.
But I
Because
like
you kind
that
of just
though.
get.
Like it is not what you
I
expect it to be in the same way that like Final
I
Fantasy
didn't.
like Final Fantasy has done this too, you know. There's a straight up
Mhm.
a Final Fantasy game where the world ends at the end of Act 2 and then it's like, well,
Yeah.
you know, you got to make good anyway.
It's weird. So I think Act 3 is it's really interesting the way they've done it, and I like it in theory, but then you can either have a choice of do I go and get all of these extra things for my characters because each of the party members gets like a new side mission that you can go and do. But by the end of that, when I finally got to the final boss, I fucking mowed over him.
Yeah.
Like it was done
So that's the thing
very
is I
quickly.
didn't do those things and that final boss was really
Mm.
satisfying that way. But I've seen people who like clean up all the side stuff and do everything
Mhm.
before they go to the final boss and they just fucking stomp them in like 2 or 3
Yeah,
hits.
I again I didn't like do everything, but I did you get the party members' final whatever they're called, paint moves or something like that. Story wise, again, I think it's really good. I think the ending I picked the wrong ending, I think, but I don't want to spoil it, but
Yeah,
I picked
The ending that
the
makes you
stay
feel even worse.
ending, let's
Yeah.
say.
yeah.
That game has 2 endings that are kind of a downer, but one of them is very much so a bigger downer than the other.
One of them's the Persona 5 Royal ending where like,
Oh, yeah, with
it's technically the happy ending, but there's just like as soon as you see like a certain character in that ending, you just feel like a wave of kind of griminess come
Yeah,
over
you're
you,
like,
and you're like,
oh
oh,
man, this didn't turn out great
Yeah.
for everyone. Some people really
this is
got the short
no,
end of the
not
stick.
him. Where I mean the character who comes back from the dead.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
When you see them, I was like, oh, this feels a bit gross. And then obviously there's like a jump scare at the end almost. I went back and played the other ending, and I much prefer it, even if it is, also really fucking bleak. Yeah, I
Bleak,
mean,
but it's fitting.
I've said this somewhere, but I think, see, in terms of like all of the kind of game of the year front runners of years past, this is probably, if Donkey Kong did not exist, this would be the one year where I'm like, yeah, no, I agree.
Yeah.
I think I do think it is something like phenomenal. I think every kind of part of it is firing on all cylinders. The music's incredible. The acting, like, if Jennifer English does not sweep every single award this year, then we've done something wrong, because she is phenomenal in that game, which is saying something because everyone else is also
Yeah,
extremely
everyone
good.
else is really good.
And we
like I know
really,
that what's his name, the guy Charlie Cox is out there being like, "Oh no, I don't deserve credit for this," but like he does a perfectly serviceable. He does a good job with the small amount
Yeah.
that he has. Like he's not phoning it in, and
yeah.
I appreciate that he's being like, "Hey, I wasn't there on set and everything," but he definitely gave it
I mean,
what he needed to.
I think that to kind of touch on the Game Awards stuff, obviously it's the most nominated game in history, which is quite cool. 3 of those being for performance. One, I know like BAFTA and Golden Joysticks do this, but we desperately need like either the Oscar split where it's like actor, actress, supporting and supporting, or just lead and supporting, because 6 is not enough
Yeah,
for
there's
how many. Like,
Fully agree.
even Troy Baker, like, who people really love as Indiana Jones, like, I would argue Higgs from Death
Higgs is
Stranding
a way,
2
yeah.
should be right up there,
As someone who did
and
not like a lot of Death Stranding 2, Higgs is the most fun in that game, and he
yeah,
is a large part of why that works.
and even like I know the Game Awards love to nominate whatever celebrities in a game because they'll show up. You see it with like loads of people, and like Death Stranding and Idris Elba for Cyberpunk and all that. But I'm not saying those are bad performances, but there's always like a kind of celebrity guest in the voice acting award. I am shocked that Andy Serkis wasn't in there because I thought his performance was one of the best in the game.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely Ben Starr and Jennifer English that are like stealing the show, but everyone else in that game is extremely good.
And
And yeah,
I think that the really could, again, the Game Awards categories we can talk about all day long about how they really aren't fit for function. Like, I've had this conversation with other people, but Keeley does outline what each category means when he sends it out to the jury, but then he doesn't do that to the public. So then you have the public trying to like project meaning onto what the difference between best action game and best action adventure game is, or stuff like that. And I think that like they should probably have the two categories that they should probably have is best like voice performance and best like motion capture and voice performance or something. I think a lot of it is just down to like it's not a very flexible award show. They aren't going to nominate both Charlie Cox and his motion capture person for the same award. They're only going to give it to Charlie Cox. And I think that if you were doing this in a more reasonable way, you would say like, no, there were two actors who came together to build that performance in the video game, because that's just how video games are made. It's a much more collaborative effort in every discipline, not just in development itself, but like in performing as well. You could see that in like Baldur's Gate 3. Like, yes, all the Baldur's Gate 3 characters are played by separate actors, but all the sex noises are done by one guy, so it even there, each character is kind of performed by multiple people and they layer it on top of each other. And I think that if you had a more free-flowing show that was more, I know, like, the rigidness of the Game Awards is what it is, and it's always going to be what it is, and I understand why it is that way, of simplicity, and they just want it to be accessible to people watching it, but I don't think it serves the developers or the performers or anyone involved in a particularly useful way if we're saying, like, well, this character was just played by Charlie Cox, and it's like, no, it was a character that was, voiced by Charlie Cox, and then on top of that there was a motion artist and there was an animator and there was a voice director and there were all these other different people who came together to make that performance work in the context of the game.
I will say it's not even necessarily just a game thing, because how many action films do the actors have stunt doubles?
Yeah,
For
I
example.
want to say, are they not doing that at the Oscars finally?
They're
Did I
doing a
read
best
that?
stunt. They're doing a best stunt performance thing this year.
Yeah.
Oh, they are. Oh,
yeah.
fantastic.
But the other thing, so we're not dwelling on the Game Awards because I know we're not really bothered about talking about it, but what the fuck do you mean that Donkey Kong Bonanza is not up for best direction? What do you mean that a game that had to change its ending because everyone hated it is up for best direction over that monkey game where you can punch everything? I don't care about anything else in it, and I don't care about awards usually, but there's something about that where I'm like, how is this beautiful, beautiful thing just been so shortchanged? How do you get 2 nominations for what is such a like
I mean,
weird like?
there's a simple answer here. It's because Nintendo still have that kid-friendly image, and
I know, and
taking
it's
that-
there's a
Yeah,
lot
like,
of, I feel like
Donkey Kong Bonanza is nominated for best family game, and in some ways, like, okay, I get that, but I'm not playing this game. Even kids aren't
Sonic
playing this with
Racing,
their family. They're playing it on their own.
it's always felt like
Sonic
the Nintendo
Racing,
category.
Yeah.
Sonic Racing's up for best family game, and I wouldn't really say that's an approach. I would say I think Sonic Racing is a better racer than Mario Kart, but Mario Kart's a far better family game than Sonic Racing because it's really
Simple.
I don't think Sonic Racing is all that approachable. It's very kind of like it's made by the initial D team, for fuck's sake.
Yeah.
But I always think every year with best game direction, and I know it's like a fucking worldwide committee that votes on it, right? And it's only what they've played. But it always feels to me like it's always treated as what is the most cinematic game or what have we voted for game of the year? Because something like, I don't know, like Deathloop, for example, that was a game where the entire premise of that game was you can take this any way you want, kill these targets any way you want, except actually there's only one preset way you can kill them. Like, to me, best game direction doesn't even necessarily have to be a good game, because you can have a game that's like doing something just kind of nuts, but obviously it's not. Like if it's glitchy or something like that, maybe it doesn't. Like the earlier, like
Again, it's one of those things where I would
yeah,
love to see how Keeley himself outlines that category
yeah,
to the jury.
like
Because
Vampire the Masquerade or Deus Ex or something like that. I feel like if they released today, they would not get these nominations, because those old immersive sims are always extremely glitchy and extremely like Prey. Something like Prey. That's something I would think of when I think what is best game direction. But hey, that was the only thing about the Game Awards I wanted to get off my chest is Donkey Kong, a game where you can literally reshape the entire level, not being up for game direction, and a like that is nuts for a platformer, and
yeah,
it feels very weird.
I I I think this is the most checked out I've ever been on the Game Awards this year.
Yeah.
Same.
I don't.
I'm-
They've done a really good job at making me not give a shit in
I mean, it's
recent
the ad
years.
show, like it is the ad show, but
Oh yeah, I
there's
get
also
that, but like I'm kind of gone beyond it where I'm like,
there's
actually I don't get much of the joy out of the ads anymore,
mm,
because ultimately
there's
not that much interesting was announced last year that I can think of.
I feel like last year was the first good year, and a lot like Okami 2 was last year, Onimusha was last year.
Oh
There's a lot
god,
of good
yeah.
stuff
Yeah,
last year.
I guess, but like I don't know, I just
I do
find
think
it so hard to get excited about announcements at an award show.
mm,
Like I've just
I,
stopped. It broke in me.
yeah. My thing is here, and I know they don't like it's the same with the Oscars. Awards don't matter, right? But these are also big enough that they do kind of influence what people think in
It
terms
Takes
of like
Two
games.
sold a shitload
Yeah,
of copies
Yeah.
based on winning Game of the Year.
the in the UK, Expedition 33 has jumped up from like 40th in the charts to like 5th or
Yep.
something this week off the back of that. So it does matter in a sense. I know it's easy to dismiss them because really it is the ad show, but we don't have like BAFTA is still BAFTA games is on the level of BAFTA movies, where like because it is focused on this one
Region.
territory, it's not seen as big of a deal worldwide.
Well, I will say this. I understand why he puts the ads, the trailers, all that in the
Mhm.
middle of the show. I get it. It's like you keep the audience there while you're going for the awards. But when you just skip through, like, I'm being generous by saying half the award, just a very
Oh yeah,
quick, oh yeah, done.
I do
Like,
think that like
yeah,
a lot of the pacing problems of that show, and maybe you're causing a different pacing problem by doing this, but doing 4 awards at the time is a bad look. And instead of having
yes.
multiple trailers back to back, it really should just be trailer award, trailer award, trailer award.
I
And
also
like that
think
might be
that
a that might
they
be a
need to
different
cut
bad.
down on. Sorry, you
Yeah,
go.
you go.
I'm saying I think they do need to cut down on the number of categories, because really, like, I care about fighting games a lot, right? There does not need to be a best fighting game category every year, because usually 5 fighting games don't release in a year, except for like indie ones that these are the types of things that don't get nominated.
I
Like
mean,
a game
like,
you would find free on
esports of the
itch.io.
year is pretty much the
Yeah, all
same
the
nominees
esports
every
ones.
year.
Yeah,
And I think it was Mike Minardi said this, and he was like, imagine how weird it would be if like we awarded sport of the year.
yeah.
Like what if
And
we were
also,
just like, yeah,
Yeah.
basketball was the best sport this year? Like fucking what?
last year's best community support or best ongoing game, I can't remember, one of the two, is the exact same list from the year before.
Yeah.
How a game like Final Fantasy 14, which
14.
I've seen
Yeah.
nothing but negativity about, has there needs to be either like an academy style voting system where you get the developers of live service games to vote on the best live service games, you get the voice actors to vote on voice, etc., or you kind of really tone down on some, because like there's no reason Street Fighter couldn't make it into best action game. It'll never win because it's a fighting game, but like something like that, just to condense it and make it less, because we're at the point now where the best fighting game out of those nominees is a collection of 20, 30-year-old fighting games.
Yeah,
Like, the one that
and
has
again,
Capcom vs SNK2 is the best fighting game, you know?
a lot of that comes down to, this coming from the Spike TV Awards and the rigidity of those categories. Like, Spike TV had a best Xbox 360 category. They had console-specific categories back when that was a thing that made a bit more sense. And now stuff like that really doesn't make sense. And in some ways, it feels like the Game Awards is just overdue for that refresh that it kind of got when it went 2014, when it went from the Spike TV Awards to the Game Awards. When that transition happened, Keighley really gave it a proper refresh, and it feels like it's overdue for that kind of refresh again. I think it's why award stuff like, independent webs or, single websites like Giant Bomb can do different categories every year, and that makes sense because, of course, the things that we're going to be awarding games awards for are going to change as the medium changes. But when you have it like, we're still awarding the same category, we're still awarding best mobile game, when like the best mobile game is Fortnite. It's been Fortnite for the last 5 years. Like, it's not going to change. Those awards just feel like so deprecated in so many ways.
And also, I this is another point entirely, right? See, when you look at best independent game, right? To me, when I think of best independent game, I think of something that is entirely self-published. And I know there are independent game publishers like Devolver and all that.
Devolver
But then I
technically
think,
isn't anymore, it's publicly traded, but
yeah,
I get what you're saying.
yeah, you think about a Devolver game will still be nominated every year, you know, and I get it, and I would love to know what the actual wording on that one is specifically, because if you really deep it down, if publishers don't matter, Kojima Productions is an independent game. They own Death Stranding.
Yeah.
You know, they're an independent company. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is technically an independent game because they're an independent studio.
Hey,
Baldur's
Scott,
Gate 3.
games for impact. What's that category?
They literally, like, this is horrible to say, but every year it just feels like they're saying, here are the woke games of the year.
It's literally, like, I've said it to other people, it's the category for the gays and, like, the people of color. That's it. And,
exactly.
And it really does feel like the most token-ass category imaginable.
Games
and usually,
that made YouTubers the most mad this year.
And usually I look at that category and I go, like, this could be like my top 5 of the year. This is like, this year it's like Consume Me, and it like, I'm like, that might be my game of the year. But it winds up being a most interesting games of the year award, Anyway, we've probably given the Game Awards more time than it needs.
I just wanted to rant about Donkey Kong more than anything.
Speaking about things that are truly inscrutable, a game that all three of us have played, Kirby Air Riders.
What a game!
Okay, Scott, I've played about 8 hours of this game. I think I'm having fun, but I'm not sure, and I'm not sure if I'm in control of anything that I'm doing.
Yeah, I think about 10 minutes into picking this game up, I just had the moment of like, man, even though Smash Bros can be a fucking pain in my ass, like, no one is doing it like Sakurai. Like, Sakurai games are a fucking event, Like, no one does it like him. Obviously, he has an entire team behind that, but, like, his directorial style, no one's doing that shit.
It feels like he comes from a different universe of game design. Like, it feels like 99% of the industry went one way when it was like, this is what a fighting game is, this is what a racing game is. And then he internalized this different set of rules of what these genres were, and he's gone the other way.
It's almost Kojima-esque, where, like, obviously Kojima gets very high review scores because he makes big budget AAA cinematic games. But he makes fucking sicko games. And the same with Sakurai. Like, someone picks up Kirby Air Riders on the fucking shelf and thinks, oh, this is another cute racing game. And it's just the total it's fucking Smash Bros on wheels. Like, fucking 80% of that game isn't even about the racing. It's about doing some other dumb shit. It's
about eating PNGs of food.
Yeah. I fucking love this. Like, even it's probably not even in my top 5 of the year, but in terms of things where I'm like, hell fucking yeah, it's right up there because it's just such a uncompromising, weird fucking game is a sequel to a flop from 20 years ago, and it plays the exact same as said flop from 20 years ago, you know?
I was on
Sorry.
I was on Game Mess Mornings with Grub the day that reviews came out for this, and it was nuts looking at the Metacritic as we were doing the review roundup, because it was one of those times where the mode review was like exclusively 80. Like there were so many 80s. Everyone gave this an 8. Like it is the 8 out of 10 of the year. And you look at its Metacritic and now it's sitting at like an 83% as a result. But like
I
it
think it's even lower
feels,
than that now.
is
I think
it?
it's at like 70 odd.
I'm
But
gonna
like
check that.
yeah, but it does feel like the game where you play it and you're like, yeah, that's great. It's not one of the best games of the year, but it's great. And everything about it is really good, I think. But it's also so
Okay,
overwhelming.
79 after 81 critic reviews.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I expected this to be more like Dragon's Dogma 2, where like everyone who reviewed Dragon's Dogma 2 was someone who loved Dragon's Dogma 1.
Yeah.
I expected it to be more like that. There were still high reviews, but I expected it to be even more like that, where you would see much higher reviews because everyone who was playing this was already a sequel.
Call of Duty.
Then again, then again, you can easily pitch someone, hey, do you want to play the fun, stupid racing game for 12 hours and review it versus do you want to play this big ass RPG that you probably won't like for 20 or 60 hours, you know? So that is probably why there was maybe a bit more of a spread. But yeah, I don't know. He's got something, there's a sauce in there, you know, even if it's fucking weird and I don't quite understand it.
Yeah, and you know, I had a conversation with friend of Start Menu and a friend of mine, Squid Rugby, who is a rugby YouTuber but loves video games, and you should check out his channel. Lovely guy. But he was saying to me like, I really liked the lead up to this game where we got to hear Sakurai talk about like not just the mechanics of the game, but like his design philosophies in that direct. That direct was way less about explaining, or those two directs. The first one was about explaining the game, but the second one was very much so like him explaining his philosophy as a designer. And that feels so un-Nintendo, and it feels so un-games industry in a lot of ways. And he was like, that was really refreshing, and I found it fascinating that like he got this platform and he got to explain why he was making the decisions he was making and the mechanical intricacies and why the team thought that this worked better and his approach to game design and stuff like that. And he kind of came away from it being like, I wish we got more of this from these shows. I know that there are shows where, you know, sometimes the developer will do a deep dive, but so many of those wind up feeling like marketing. Like it feels like when a developer is giving the message, they have been drilled the marketing bullet points of like, no, really push that it's boots on the ground this year. Push that it's boots on the ground this year. Whereas when Sakurai talks about his games, he's like getting into the design philosophies and nitty gritty of why he's doing what he's doing and his approach to making games in a way that like most people don't.
I always think about that one E3 where the back half of it was all Smash Bros. And
Scott,
there was just
you're
like
misremembering. The entire 46 minutes of that E3 was Smash Bros.
no, there was a good fifth because they announced Fortnite there, so there was a good maybe 20 of that. That was, I don't know. Anyway, a lot of it was Smash Bros, but he was doing shit like, here's a bullet point that is literally just when you hit Captain Olimar, his helmet will crack. But don't worry, it goes back to normal after the animation. Or like, here's the faces Donkey Kong can make when he gets hit. So I've always loved his like weird directs, like the ones he did for like the Smash Bros characters, where he would just sit and play against himself with two controllers. Like I love for that shit. And that's what his YouTube channel became, I guess, as
Yeah.
well. Henry, you have not had the chance to talk about Kirby Air Riders yet. Tell me why Rick is the best character in the game.
I mean, just look at him.
Yeah.
Does anything else need to be said?
That fat
He's
hamster
beautiful.
ass. I love that his super is just hauling ass. But yeah, no, I
It's
don't
really
actually know what
right.
you think. I don't actually know what you think about the game. I haven't actually talked to you about it yet because everything going on. But
I need to play more of it. Admittedly, I've only done the first couple of hours. I did like the tutorial stuff because I was like, people say about the controls. Like, okay, I'm going to spend some time there. I did one of the Oh, what was it? Where you were like on the open road.
Oh, the road trip.
Yes, the road trip.
Yeah.
That was it. So I did
Which
one run
has
of that.
like these wild pre-rendered cinematic cutscenes, which are telling
Oh,
the
it's
deep lore of Kirby Air Riders. Scott, you're
beautiful.
muted.
Scott, you're muted.
I unmuted. What the fuck? I clicked the mute button. Anyway, there's one in there that I swear to God you could screenshot and say this is from like a fucking Avengers
Yeah.
movie or something. Like it's like one where there's like tons of little spiders coming out of a portal, and it's the most un-Kirby looking thing, and it's like weirdly like super high detail. It's like the fifth or sixth one. You'll know it and you see it, but there's like tons of spiders. But it's this one shot of like the desert landscape and just like spiders crawling out of portals, and I was like, oh my god!
Like, I
this is
love how they
weird.
take the Kirby lore extremely seriously. They're like, no, this is like a grand space opera. And then Kirby shows up, and you're like, fucking what? This guy? But yeah, Henry, how have you been enjoying the actual racing and playing of the game?
I need to play more of it really to get a proper feel for it. But I'm enjoying it so far. I knew like the Mario Kart comparisons would come out because they always do with these sort of racing games. But I just like that it's something different. I quite like the approach to like the tighter corners where you got to like boost, slow down, then like fligging yourself
Yeah.
basically. Yeah,
Hmm.
I quite like that. I need to play more of it to really.
Some of those vehicles are really neat. And the weird
Machines,
shit
Scott,
they
they're
do.
not vehicles, they're machines.
Like there's one where like you can't turn, you have to do one of these boosts,
Yeah.
and then
Sure.
one that you have to charge up with your
To move
boost
at
and like
all,
let
yeah.
it. Yeah. One thing I did want to say is I don't know how you feel about this, but I love that you have to unlock all the weird shitters. Like you start with 4 characters and you just have to unlock all these weirdos.
Yeah.
Fine
Like
with me.
it's
So
weirdly refreshing.
Yeah, I piece that went up on the website today as we're recording this. It will have been up for a while once this goes live. But I kind of talk about like the joy of unlocking things and discovering just how much there is in Kirby Air Riders, because like it's a massive game. Each mode has like 150 things for you to unlock. Like it's ridiculous. And the other game that I talk about in that, and I'll talk about it here now, is Sectory. Have either of you touched this or looked at it?
Looked at it, not touched it yet.
Is that the guy from Mortal Kombat 3?
Close.
I will say
I don't know this name,
Yeah.
I'm afraid.
I
Sorry.
bought Birdcage instead, so Sectori's on my list.
Hell yeah, Birdcage. I haven't
So,
got that on the list, but Birdcage slaps.
So
Hey.
Sectory is the first game out of several ex Housemark people, and it's kind of in the more traditional Housemark arcade style, less Returnal, more Alienation or Matterfall kind of. And this game really is just Geometry Wars. It is roguelike Geometry Wars.
Sold right now.
It's roguelike Geometry Wars, and also you have a kind of like shunt move that allows you to move into place, like basically just shunt your ship forward and cause a small explosion. And that's kind of all it tells you in the tutorial. Is it gives you the basics of how Geometry Wars works, of hey, move with one stick and shoot in a direction with the other stick. And then it's like you can do the shunt, and then it says, hey, you can upgrade your ship. It doesn't really tell you how you upgrade your ship. It's just like, hey, there are upgrades, and you'll come across them as you get into the runs. And then you slowly have to figure out what that means. You start off with only one mode unlocked. There's a total of 7 modes, I think.
Okay.
And the one mode that you have unlocked is kind of the main roguelike mode. There's also a survival mode that you unlock once you beat the first boss. In the roguelike mode, basically you go up against waves of kind of enemies in the style of a Geometry Wars, and then the shape of the map that you're in will change. So sections of the map will start highlighting in red and flashing, and if you're in the flashing area for too long, the map will change and you'll just be destroyed instantly. And so you have to stay in the like areas of the map that are opening up, and it keeps on changing shape, and then after a while a boss will show up and you beat the boss and you go on to the next stage. And then as you do that, there's also different like points multipliers that you can get, and there's upgrades that you can get. These upgrades, you unlock decks, and decks have different cards in them, and so you can
Right.
kind of, you have to pick eight cards for your deck, and then any of those 8 cards can show up, and so you're kind of like, well, I like these cards. One of them might let me shoot backwards, but I might not always see that, so I can't rely on that always showing up.
In the nicest possible way, this is the sort of game where I'm, despite my best intentions, that won't stick with me until I actually play it.
Yes,
Because that sounds like the sort of thing I need to learn for myself.
and that's the thing
Like
I
a
really
good
like
board
about
game.
it, is it does just kind of let you bump around and figure that stuff out for yourself. Everything from like the enemy patterns, it doesn't tell you like there are enemies that just come straight at you, there are enemies that move around randomly, and then there's enemies
Sure.
that kind of strafe your shots. And then there's enemies with different properties. It doesn't explain how any of those work to you. The only way you're going to figure that out is by fighting them and dodging them and interacting with them and internalizing the rule set for each enemy. And that's really satisfying. That's really, really satisfying. I'm terrible at this game, but I really, really like it.
Sure.
It will probably be somewhere on my Game of the Year list, because I'm finding it really easy to pick up and play 1 or 2 rounds each night, and not like necessarily do very well, but man, it looks so good. Like, it's all bleached in neon, and the particle effects are nuts, and it really does just feel like if they never stopped making Geometry Wars games, where they would wind up. And that's like the highest compliment I can give something like this.
Is it deck verified?
Yes,
or
so
compatible?
I know Jeff Grubb has been playing it on his Steam Deck, and he said it runs really well there.
Oh, nice.
I'm not sure if
Okay.
it's deck verified, but it runs really well there, he said.
Hey, if it runs, then fair enough. I'll take that.
Yeah. And then the other thing I finished up the other night is I finished Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater Delta, whatever. Metal Gear Solid Delta 3 Snake Eater, whatever you call it. That's a weird
The
game.
remake.
Yeah, that's a weird game.
Yeah.
That's my first time beating a Metal Gear Solid game. It was okay.
Scott, what do you want to say?
There was a really good meme I saw on like TikTok or something recently. I seen like someone's fucking grandpa. There was a really good meme I saw, and it was like, play Metal Gear Solid in chronological order, and it's like a clip of like Metal Gear Solid 5, like the most high level play, and then like the fucking shittiest looking MSX Metal Gear 1.
Yep.
I am a staunch play it in release order guy.
I am
but
very tempted
hey,
to play it in chronological order, because I think it would be funny and it would make you upset. I'm thinking of moving on to Peace Walker now.
I don't even. Again, it's up to you. I started with fucking Metal Gear Solid 2, which is probably one of the worst ones you could start with. I think there are things in those games that you kind of miss out on if you play it in chronological order, especially with Metal Gear Solid 3, because there's a lot of kind of Metal Gear Solid 1. I mean, you don't need to start with Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2, but you can go back to them. But those are also
But you need to start with Metal Gear 2 Snake's Revenge for the NES.
Yeah.
You need to start with that fucking bootleg bullshit.
I mean, I don't care that much. Snake Eater is the best game ever made. So I'm glad you've finally played a version of it.
I will say some of my reception to it is slightly dampened by the fact that, like, when the campfire make-out scene happened, that just so happened to be the time that, like, my dad called by and was like, "Hey, what are you playing, kiddo?" And I was like, "Oh gosh,
Did you?
how do I explain Kojima to you?"
Did you remove the tracker before then?
No.
Okay, yeah, okay. I get it now, because that's an even funnier scene if you don't remove the tracker. I mean, I feel like we're going to talk about this when the time comes. But I think that's a very, very weird remake.
Yeah, it looks
I'm
nice.
interested to.
I think playing around with those filters I had a bit of fun with.
Yeah. I'm quite interested to hear you as a first timer to it, because to me, when I played it, I was like, wow, they really didn't do anything to this, as that game, but here's like a slightly different control scheme, you know.
Yeah, and I think that kind of comes through for better and worse in some ways. It feels dated at points, but like also I'm not sure I would want that game to, feel especially new or different.
So this was one of my things with it when they first rumored about. In my mind, I'm like, okay, it's been 10 years or whatever since 5. I don't want them to do Snake Eater first because I mean, one, that's the best one. Two, it's such a weird because it's the third game. Whereas if they did Metal Gear Solid 1, but did like the Resident Evil thing, where like it's Metal Gear Solid 1 in terms of Snake infiltrating Shadow Moses to stop Liquid, then fine. But it's like a completely different game. I would care more for something like that. But for Metal Gear Solid 3, I didn't really want them to touch it because that's the sacred one, I guess. But if they did a remake series where they started with, it'd be like starting the Resident Evil remakes with 4, like it would be really weird to start with 4. But because they built up that kind of trust and that new kind of canon with 2, and then 3, which wasn't as good, you could go into 4 and it would make a lot more sense. That's kind of how I wish they went about it this time around.
Yeah,
Feels like Silent Hill logic.
I also do kind of get it because there's probably the least amount of work to do for a 3 remake. The modernizing that needs to be done is way less than 1, and they can still justify it as like, oh, it's the start of it chronologically, so it does technically make sense as a starting point. Like, there's reasons that you could justify it.
Yeah, I mean, Konami's approach seems to be let's start with the most popular one to bring the series back, because that's what done with Silent Hill as well. Like it makes sense why they went with 3. I mean, 3 sold the worst, but I believe I don't know if that's just me, but I feel like everyone kind of agrees most of the time that is the one that people like the most. So I don't know. It makes sense for a business thing, but it's a weird remake. It's a weird choice. I still like it. I still think it's
Yeah.
Here's a good
Yeah.
version of a fantastic game, but it's one of those ones where you can at the end of it you're like, why?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Speaking of good versions of good games, Henry, Luminous. Tell me about Luminous in VR. This is probably my favorite version of Luminous, and that's saying a
Sure.
lot because I really like Luminous 1.
Yeah.
You and me have both played a bunch of Luminous Arise. We even played some together against each other.
Yep. Both reviewed it.
And yeah, my review's on Rewinder. Yours is on Upload VR.
Yep.
Tell me your thoughts on Luminous Arise and how you feel about it.
I'm going to start by saying I do agree that it is the best, that at least to me, the best Luminous game, while I still think Tetris Effect is a better game. But that's purely because I enjoy Tetris more as a core concept.
Yeah, we kind of had this discussion in the Simpsons stream, and it's the thing of Tetris is a perfect game, so you can't really follow that up, and that's kind of the imperfectness that makes this shit.
At the same time,
I bring it up in my review of like, in some ways, it's kind of like it's more impressive in some ways that they've made Luminous so close in quality to Tetris Effect because it takes more to do. Like, this Tetris is already so good that like adding the gravy on top is like, oh, great. But like, this version of Luminous adds something that feels so fundamental to that experience now. The vibe of that game, and even some of the gameplay mechanics. Like, I think the burst mode adds so much mechanically to that game that going back to a version of Luminous without it's going to be really tough.
No, I agree. Like, I tried playing some of the remastered version of the first one when I was during the review, and yeah, it's still a good game. It just doesn't. It's never going to hit that same way again for me.
Yeah.
Oh, excuse me. But yeah, no. Honestly, the presentation, I think in terms of that, it beats Tetris Effect, and I think
there's just
it's
more,
one of those games where
there's more themes, there's more music, there's more modes, and it gets to play around with those a bit more because of the way that Luminous can vary in its pacing. Like, Tetris's pacing is pretty linear. Luminous has more axes for difficulty.
Yep.
with the bar traveling across the screen and the blocks falling at different speeds, so it allows them to
You're right,
play
yeah.
around with the like actual pacing of music and tones and things like that.
Yeah,
I
no, I agree.
I want to know what you think of the music, Henry, because I haven't finished Journey Mode so far. But I said this last time. There's not enough cringe in it for me yet, and I did hit one. I did hit one like right in the middle of the game. I believe it's like a New York stage or something, and it's horrifically cringe.
But
So
like
I'm kind of
also,
happy.
it's one of those things where like Mizuguchi's games are so earnest.
Oh yeah, no,
They're
I love it.
yeah, they are so. There is very few creators in the video game industry who have cast off any labels of cringe and just do not care and go wholeheartedly in for earnest bullshit in the way that Mizuguchi does.
The second level of Tetris Effect being that fucking shit ass rap song always gets me every time I play that game.
Yeah,
Anyway, sorry.
and it's music you
No,
would
you go from
you would never listen to outside of the game, but in the game you're like, oh, this
uh,
is transcendental. This is
I,
so
I
much more.
like I like
like Connected.
Connected.
What a
Yeah,
song.
I really like
Yeah.
Connected. Anyway, sorry, Henry. Cringe or not
Yeah,
cringe?
well,
How do you feel?
There was a few songs or a couple of songs where I was a bit like, this isn't for me. I'm not sure I'd call it cringe, but I was like, it felt a bit out of place, I guess. But generally speaking, I love the soundtrack.
I don't
Yeah.
even mean cringe in a negative way. It's just like
No. I'm
this
not.
is so fucking cheesy. Like even Connected, which I do love. Like the first time I heard Connected, I kind of like I actually cried, and I don't know if that was just because of like the Tetris Effect stuff as well, but I actually like I got really emotional at Connected. But every time you like actually
Sure.
look at the lyrics or listen to that song, I was like, there's a cheesiness to this that you don't like. The Luminous soundtrack as well was like that. And yeah, that New York stage, I think it's a New York stage. So it's like a city stage in Luminous.
Yeah, I know the one you mean.
Rises. Oh my
Yeah.
god. Like that one was fucking bad.
I was just gonna say as well, like playing this in a headset you don't need to. It's definitely not essential, but it does add that little bit something extra, which to me makes it worth it, makes it the better way of playing because
This
those visuals pop in front of you. It feels more almost spiritual, which
Henry,
feels like a weird thing to say.
what controller do you use to play with when you do that?
Oh, just a dual sense.
Okay,
You don't need.
yeah,
Yeah, I think you can use the sense controllers, but you really don't need to in that game.
on the point of the visuals popping, and I don't know if this is just a really big nitpick, but I feel like the lack of HDR really lets it down compared to Tetris Effect, because Tetris Effect is probably the game I think about when I think about HDR, because that game like can fucking blind you with how bright it gets and how warm the
It would
colors are.
help, but
And I think that is something where I'm like playing Luminous Horizon, I'm like, it isn't quite hitting as hard for that reason as well. And I know it's like kind of a dumb reason to not be as in love with it, because it's just like, oh, here's a technical difference.
I mean, the good news is that they supported Tetris Effect with a lot of updates, and this seems to have done, at least critically, pretty well for them. So I'm assuming they are going, like, there will be another version of this that comes to Switch at some point.
Like, I'm going to say this, I gave it the equivalent of an 8 out of 10, and apparently when I last checked Metacritic, I was on the lower end of the reviews there, which shocked me. Yeah.
So yeah, that game's awesome. It's one of the few games that would tempt me into a VR headset if I had the money to buy one.
Not fair, but honestly, it's something else when you put that on for the first time with those games.
We're gonna move on to, speaking of money, we should move on to the big news story that we want to talk about.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. There was something that you skipped over. That
is there a game you really want to talk? Is it Peggle? Because you have Peggle down in your notes.
No, it's the one. Remember when I said at the start we're gonna bold the games that we really want to talk about?
Oh yeah, sorry. Yeah, you go.
Fucking hell, Captain Wayne Vacation Desperation. What a fucking game this is.
What the fuck is this? I got an email for this and I have no idea.
I picked this up today. I picked this up and played it for like 30 minutes. I found out about this game yesterday. Oh my fucking god. It's a boomer shooter that's like you play as a pirate. It's got that kind of like Pizza Tower, Anton Blast, kind of really jaggy MS Paint like.
Oh, I see it already. Yeah,
holy shit!
page.
I have played 2 levels of this, and I think this is already cracking my top 5 for the year. It feels so fucking good to play. The movement is insane. Like, everything about this is like such a me game. Like, god damn.
If you've not seen, I'm
That's
sending you the link, Lex.
I will play it, and I will finish it.
I did watch
in
this
2
trailer.
weeks.
It's a
Oh, you
lot.
did?
Yeah.
Okay.
It
Yeah.
feels so good to, like, one of your buttons is kick, and if you jump kick, you literally do like the fucking John Wick fly across the room to drop kick someone out a window shit. It feels so fucking good. I need to play more to actually give a proper opinion on it, but
Yeah,
from
fair.
the 30 minutes I have played, good lord, I am giving this like my highest recommendation. Unless it really shits the bed later on, there is no way I am not recommending this as like one of the best I've played. But yeah, I wanted to gush about that.
I
Also,
will very quickly touch upon my other 2 then.
Speaking of 2 weeks from now,
soon, man, soon.
I went to show Squeezy Head.
Just wanted to say, of the Devil, I've been playing that. Been playing off the Steam Deck. Really good. If you're looking for a good murder mystery game, that's honestly, I played episode 0 because that's free, and then immediately bought the next episode. I'm hooked. And I've also been playing with friends, Demio X Dungeons and Dragons, which, if you're after a tabletop game, honestly, I'm having such a good time with it.
What is Demio?
Demio is like it's a tabletop sort of thing. Like you've got it portrays it like you've got a board, you've got like miniatures, like the characters are actually miniatures.
Oh, is it like a program? Is it like
No,
tabletop simulator?
it
or
is
something?
a
No,
game,
not
but it's
quite.
it's
Oh, right, okay.
It was originally VR. They've done a flat screen version, correct?
Yes, and then
Yes.
they've now done a crossover where they've launched it hybrid at the same time.
But it is kind of like playing a tabletop game in VR for people who might want to do something like that. But it's
Here's the thing:
super interesting.
I've been playing with Bri, my partner, and Bri is, Bri's playing off like Steam, just off like mouse and keyboard, and my friend Josh is playing off PS5, just with a normal controller. So it's really nice to have all those options, and honestly, just really fun to get sunk into a campaign with friends. So I want to just touch upon that quickly, give it a shout out.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what we've been playing. I also played a lot of Call of Duty Black Ops 7. You can check out my review of that on restart.run. I loved it. If you didn't see, I loved it. Everyone's talking about how much I loved it. And you can be normal in my mentions. Be very normal in my mentions.
I
if
really liked the
I
Skibidi
refuse.
Toilet boss fight.
Dude,
The boss that looks like Skibidi Toilet. Finally.
I saw. Okay, not to go on too much of a tangent. I saw people.
I've got an even worse tangent to go on.
Yeah,
So
I saw someone who like is pretty well ingrained in the industry and has been around for a long time and works at a big website basically be like, hey, this game is functional, so really you can't justify giving it less than 3 out of 5 stars. For the record, I gave this game 1 out of 5 stars. And man, I am so fucking sick and tired of us like rewarding the biggest corporation in the world for doing the bare fucking minimum of releasing a semi-functional product. Like, holy shit, they do this every year. The fact that the game powers on and doesn't, like, melt your PlayStation isn't a fucking compliment. And even then, I had the game glitch out on me several times. The thing takes up a fucking ridiculous amount of space on, like, my console. Interacting with any of the menus is a pain in the ass. Like, even then, it is not a convenient game to work with and to play. I don't know, I'm so tired of us giving Call of Duty a pass because it's just Call of Duty, and like, people need to demand more from their entertainment, and maybe we're seeing a bit of that from the sales and the sales being down, but like, holy shit, value your time more, value your precious time more, because this game clearly doesn't value you or its developers, and we know that because it's using AI bullshit in it. Yeah, sorry.
I'm going to make one quick point, and I'm just going to say...
play a good FPS like Captain Wayne Vacation Desperation.
The only point I'm going to say here is that a lot of people I've seen this argument from critics as well, and it drives me mad because I put in Upload VR's review guide, the style guide for any of our freelancers. It doesn't matter how big a team is that works on a game. You need to review what's in front of you, not whether it's a solo dev or 1,000 people. It doesn't matter. A game that doesn't, it's still a game.
Also, just like special shout out to the people who were like, "Oh, you're bringing real world politics into this." And one, when you say that, you're saying that AI is politics, which, like, what the fuck you on about? Two, yeah, I can award a game whatever score I want. It's a review. Like, do you fundamentally not understand what a review is? It's how I emotionally interacted with this piece of media. The amount of people in this industry who still don't seem to understand what industry they are in and what their jobs are.
I can't believe you did not just post a store page listing and nothing else, honestly.
My tangent was more on topic, but do you think Valve could have stopped Skibidi Toilet at any point?
Like, you're right, yours was more on topic.
Do you think there was a point in history where Valve could have stopped Skibidi Toilet? I don't think they can now.
Yeah, it probably was.
Do you think Gabe Newell sat from one of his 15 yachts and saw Skibidi Toilet and thought, like,
no, because he's like a weird libertarian idealist in some ways.
What the fuck does that have to do with Skibidi Toilet?
Where he's like, oh, fucking, this is just the free market of ideas. They've taken my wonderful ideas and assets and they've used it and like
and put them in a toilet.
It's really funny whenever people do talk about like Valve and Steam as an open platform, because it's only as open a platform as like one of the richest men in the world deems it to be. Like, it's open, but only if he chooses to continue to allow it to be open, which we've seen this week.
Was about to say with that horses game.
Yeah. That can be rescinded very easily. Like, people talk about Steam as if it's a great equalizer, and in some ways it is, but it's only a great equalizer if you're allowed to have it equally. It's kind of like,
it's like PlayStation, where like they have been doing terribly, but everyone else is tripping over their own balls.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where like Gabe Newell believes in like equality for all, but a little bit more equality for him, because it's still ultimately his platform. And so yeah, whatever. Who cares?
Anyway, Gabe, stop Skibidi Toilet. Stop it.
Yes, please.
The news story that we were.
As much as I like Michael Bay film Pain and Gain and nothing else about him, stop it. Stop Skibidi Toilet before it gets too powerful and infects our Call of Duty campaigns.
I called my shot back when they announced the Skibidi Toilet movie. I bet Glenn Powell's going to be the face of Skibidi Toilet in that.
Damn.
Can we move on to the news?
Changing topic, and he's like, I don't want to talk about Glenn Powell and Skibidi Toilet anymore. The one news story that we have is slightly related to Valve. I linked a tweet here from Zubby Tech, which is the PS5 is currently cheaper than 64 gigabytes of DDR5 PC RAM. This is just kind of a sign of the times. I'm not sure if you've been keeping up with this. The price of memory is out of control right now. In the past, week, it is effectively doubled, depending on where you're looking. And a large part of this is down to a lot of AI firms are buying up a shitload of the factories that would have previously been making dedicated consumer RAM and memory and are now making a slightly different version of RAM that is more configured for AI. But they're buying up the factories, and there's way less RAM now on the market for consumers, and it's going to continue to be way less because they're still buying the factories and they're still buying the means for this, and the supply is just going to dwindle. And so over the next 12 to 18 months, it's estimated that the cost of pretty much every electronic device that has RAM in it, which if you're unfamiliar, that's a lot of electronic devices that have any computing power. It's pretty much every electronic device that has any computing power. That they're gonna shoot up like a lot. And this ties into Valve being very cagey since they announced the Steam Machine 2 weeks ago about announcing prices. They probably aren't going to announce prices for that thing until the very last minute. And even then, you're probably going to see prices raise over the course of that thing's life cycle. The Xbox is apparently not 100 that recently that got 2 price increases over the course of this year. It is now reported that because they were not anticipating the shortages of DRAM, that price could increase again. Apparently, Sony have a bit more stock on hand of DRAM, so they will be able to keep their prices down for a little bit longer. But yeah, I think the thing I wanted to talk about was like, one, I don't want to be the person being like, hey, go out and build a PC now. But if you're thinking about building a PC, now's kind of the last realistic chance to do it for a while. In the same way that before the crypto bubble hit, that was. And also, I just want to get your vibe on like the state of accessibility for gaming. Like getting people into this ecosystem, into this hobby. It seems like it's only getting less and less accessible for more and more people.
I'm just going to say this as a man with a computing degree. I feel like I have some authority when I say this. Why don't they just simply download more RAM? Come on. Now.
I've been saying that for years.
Yes, thank you. Finally, some sense.
I had to download more RAM when I found out how much dedicated RAM I needed for my Minecraft server. I've done the math here. The Corsair Vengeance, 2 times 32 gigabyte DDR5 RAM, currently on Amazon, $525.90. That is approximately 40.5 Skibidi Toilet Funko Pops off of Amazon right now.
Wow.
And that's not even that's not the jumbo Skibidi toilets, that's the normal Skibidi toilets.
Wow.
Nuts.
I will say, as someone who Henry, I've talked to you a bit about
has a lot of Skibidi Toilet Funko Pops.
Yeah. My dead stock is really fucking. I thought I was gonna become a millionaire off this shit, but fuck, I'm screwed. Henry, I've been talking to you about this. I need to build a PC for work. To be able to continue to work in this industry. It's becoming increasingly apparent I need to build a PC. 2 days ago, I was looking at 16 gigabytes of RAM of it was Corsair Vengeance CL30 RAM, and it was €153 before shipping on Amazon.ie.
Hell.
€153 for double 16 gigabyte of RAM. I bought it today because I was watching over the course of the last 2 days that price go up and panicking, and trying to decide if I really did want to build a PC right now or not. Can you guess how much that 16 gigabyte, those 2 sticks of 16 gigabyte of RAM cost? This is including shipping now, so it's a little bit extra added on.
Just remind me, what was the price originally? Sorry.
2 days ago, there was a listing that would have arrived in December that cost €153. How much
is it around €250?
More.
$25.
More.
Yeah, more than 200.
300 and 525.90, which is the price of 2 32 gigabyte sticks and 50 Funko Pops.
Less than that, but definitely more than
how much?
375. There we go.
€423.
Damn, that was fucking bad.
Yeah.
And
let me tell you, that it's not getting cheaper. It's like I'm looking around at other places. That's just the price of RAM everywhere right now. I've like, even back when people were mining crypto on GPUs, I don't think it got this bad this quickly. Like, it's nuts. The last few days have been wild.
I will say this. I bought a new PC about, I think it was first half of last year. And I was like, I was hesitant at the time because there was all the rumors about Nvidia bringing out the 50 series and all that, and I'm like, am I jumping the gun here? Huh? Should I wait a bit longer? But I'm kind of glad that I didn't now, looking
you know, when you
back
think
up.
about what the 50 series is and kind of like the empty promises that thing has been
Yeah.
for a lot of people, and like looking back on it now, the 40 series is just like really solid. Like if I could buy a new 40 series,
Yeah.
I'd be buying a new 40 series, but I don't want
Like,
to
I
buy a
got
second-hand card, so I have to buy a
No,
50
oh
series.
no, God no.
Yeah.
Like I bought like a 4070 Ti Super, and that has done me beautifully since then. But yeah, secondhand, God, absolutely not. Not
Yeah.
when miners are out there.
To actually answer your question, I think we are in a weird middle ground at the moment where stuff like the Steam. I think PC gaming has become extremely, I forget what the word was, but
Accessible?
you know the word accessible. Yes, sorry. I think the Steam Deck has made PC gaming very accessible for a lot of people, and the kind of wave of handhelds that have spawned from that. But at the same time, yeah, kind of shit's fucked. Consoles are only going to get more expensive between tariffs and all this bullshit.
It has got me
I
thinking, what do you think a next generation PlayStation costs?
I wonder if they even fucking do it until everything calms down.
Yeah, like does this become another PS4 situation where they extend the life cycle because things are so bad?
You'd think, because
I
like
think the Pro is part of their answer to it.
yeah, I wonder what the actual sales figures for the Pro are. I think that is maybe going to be the answer.
Sony have said that they're happy with them, but they're less than the PS4 Pro. I'll tell you that much.
Yeah,
And
I'm not surprised.
you know, I think that like that handheld PlayStation, ultimately the returns that you're going to see on next generation hardware are going to be a lot less than the ones you saw this generation and the generation before that, because so many more of the players are looking to have multiple devices on the market that skew for different price ranges. So I do think you're going to see like less innovation in a lot of ways. Like you're not going to see weird technology in any of these machines. They're just going to be straight power bumps. But I think they're going to be expensive straight power bumps.
I think Nintendo is going to try and keep that price down as long as they can, because you've seen it with the Switch, the original Switch in America, where the price has gone up. Because I think they are trying to keep this price of the Switch 2 down at least for the first like year and a half.
And you know, out of any of them, they're in the best position to do it because they can subsidize it the most. Like people buy more games on the Switch than they buy on any other platform other than maybe Steam, so they can continue to subsidize the hardware with third-party sales.
I was going to bring up the point that with Switch and now with PlayStation, like in Japan, you've got the Japan language only models, which are selling at a much cheaper. I say much cheaper. I can't remember how much the difference is, but a cheaper
I think
price.
the PlayStation is about 300 odd.
I've got it here. It's 355 roughly. Yeah, it's 55,000 yen.
Yeah, which is still a fuckload of yen. Like that's if you were living in Japan, that is a lot of money for a console right now.
But that's still better than it was.
Yeah.
Which, yeah.
But why would you spend that when the Skibidi Toilet Cameraman Funko Pop is only $2.99 on Forbidden Planet right now?
The cameraman. I like the cameraman.
The iconic Skibidi Toilet Cameraman.
Have
we talked about Funko going down the drain as well?
Sorry?
That's kind of nothing to do with the. I assume it's got nothing to do with the RAM, but have we seen that Funko is basically like, hey, we're fucking rough out here?
Yeah, it turns out like making a bunch of plastic based off of pop culture icons. Eventually, you run out of like Spider-Man. There's only so many Ghostbusters.
They own
landfill a lot of it.
Probably. They own one of the best video game and movie vinyl producers.
Yeah, Mondo Records, right?
This is going to be very sad.
Yep.
For that reason alone. And also because all the Funko Pops will be gone. How will I survive?
Okay, yeah, I found it. They dumped 30 million of its inventory in a landfill.
God, can
Or
you?
I watched.
plan to.
I need to find the name of the person, but there was something that is relevant here that I need to bring up. It's a YouTube video that came out a couple days ago, and it's from, oh god, that's playing loud. I can't stop it. Jeffy, and it's a similar thing where they landfilled a bunch of games. It's a Swedish fighting game where every single character is one disc. There were 50 of these discs. It's called the European Pokemon knockoff you've never heard of. It's a 50-minute video, but oh my god, like I highly recommend watching this because
All
this
right.
game looks fucking nuts.
This
While
this
we're
feels
speaking
like
of
a
landfill
yeah.
games,
This feels like a good pairing to go with that new Defunct Land video of like something to put on in the evening and watch all of. I'll have to
I'm
check that out.
behind on my YouTube essays. I want to watch this new Super Bunny Hop one about Metal Gear Solid 3 Delta as well.
that one looks good. Shout out to Folding Ideas, always good videos over there. Dan Olsen does good stuff. So yeah, that's the show. I don't think we have much more to add. There's other
We
news
have
things,
questions.
but we can't. Yeah, I'm getting to them. Go
Oh, I
on.
thought you were ending it.
No, we kind of didn't want to focus too much on the news this week because we just wanted to catch up on games mainly because we've been playing a lot of games.
Because we're more interesting than the news. Who gives a fuck?
I mean, ultimately, yeah, it's November. There is no
gives
news.
a fuck that you can't afford RAM.
It's Thanksgiving
I've
week.
been
There's
playing
no
Kirby
news.
Air Riders.
So we have two questions this week. One from Michael, who says, the Xbox 360 turned 20. Any fond memories with the console? Any thoughts on how Microsoft buggered up all the goodwill it got them? What they could have done differently to keep the momentum going? I'm going to kind of sit this one out because I never owned a 360.
I will jump in first then because I actually have a fun little story with getting an Xbox. My mum actually won an Xbox 360 in was it 2006 World Cup competition? It was like Pepsi.
Nice.
Were hosting a competition.
Your mum played in the 2006 World Cup?
Yeah, she did. Incredible.
Did she
Wonderful
and all she got was an Xbox 360. Man, they really fucking cheaped out that year.
But they it came with the Football Manager game of that year. I think it was just 06. So that was a fun way to get introduced to Xbox back then.
I'm curious, can you remember, was it an Xbox core? Was it a 360 core, or was it one with a hard drive? Or can you remember?
I think it was one with a hard drive, from what I recall.
What was it? It was Core, then Pro, then Elite, I want to say.
I think that was it.
Yeah. Something like that.
Scott, how did you engage with the Generation Remix?
Yeah, no, that was my. Well, I got a Wii first. My brother got a 360, and then I got a 360 a couple years later.
Sure.
But 360 was my console for most of that gen. The 360 it's not quite PS2 because nothing's PS2. But I want to say it is maybe the closest thing we've had to a PS2 kind of phenomenon.
It's a really
since then.
It's a broad and impressive catalog in a way that is like you look at it now and you're like, there's games here that I would just play right now. You know, there's a lot of them.
Yeah. I really loved the 360. I got it Christmas Day along with Guitar Hero 4, like the full band kit. I remember that. And then I went to the shop and the first 3 games I bought, Rock Band 2, Sonic Unleashed, which had just come out. Well, I bought Mirror's Edge as well because
nice,
fucking banger of a game.
Yeah.
And then I was like, you know what other game I need to play that I've been waiting years to play because I only had a Wii? Sonic 2006.
Great.
All
the stars are here.
Yeah. I don't think I got past like the third level of that. I don't think I could find my way around the hub world because
so what I'm hearing is I've gotten further in that game than you have.
No, because I played it earlier this year and I beat that lava level with no effort. I even messaged you about it like, this is easy. This is a game for babies. This is not the time for it. I'm going to say it and then we're going to move past it. I think Sonic 06 is less bad than some of those other games because at least it has ideas. Sonic Lost World or whatever, no fucking sauce. Sonic
Scott,
06 tried.
lots of like fucking mass murderers and dictators have ideas, you know? Like
Look,
everyone's got ideas. We can't just start throwing
I-
that around as a compliment.
I did not bring up the fact that since our stream I have played Simpsons Hit and Run and more importantly Family Guy the video game, right? I'm allowed to talk about one bad game and I've chosen Sonic 06. But yeah, no, I fucking loved the free set. I mean I mainly played like Rock Band and like Gears of War 2. You know, it was the multiplayer console.
Yep.
Like I remember
has never been the same since.
I remember playing like was it Lost Planet, Soul Calibur 4 at the time. I've played a few things.
And like the rise of truly independent games in a lot of ways, like the democratization of tools, XBLA and stuff. Like I always looked over at some of arcade as someone who only owned a PS3 and and a Wii. I looked over at people talking about like some of arcade stuff so jealously. It's like, oh man, all that stuff.
Some of arcades, you look at that list now, and it's like, and I know how you feel about Braid, but in 1 year we had like Braid, Super Meat Boy. I want to say that Marvel's Capcom 2 port came out that year. Explosion Man and Shadow Complex, I think.
Oh, Shadow Complex. Yeah, I played that.
Man, Shadow Complex rules. But like it just games of a different scale in like usually for the longest time if a game was $20 or less than 60, it wasn't worth your time. You know, it was probably something destined for the bargain bin and meant to be sold for cheap. But then suddenly XBLA created games that were $20 and were good value, or were $15 and were good value and were like entertaining and interesting. You know, it's a very important console.
Quick, Henry, while you're coughing, go. What were you gonna say?
All I was trying to say is that through the arcade, that was how I first played Castlevania Symphony of the Night.
Yeah, same.
And with the original translation.
It's still like probably the best way to play Symphony of the Night in a lot of ways. Like there's that PS4 version.
The PS4 version is technically the better translation, but it doesn't have the fucking "die monster."
Yeah,
you don't belong in this.
Yeah, loses the character.
But yeah, I played it was like Gears of War 2 and Halo 3. I played a ton of, and then it was like
Halo 3,
arcade stuff. Like I was, when you were talking about Deadpool, I was shocked to find out that that's the same team that did like Comic Jumper and Explosion Man and the Mall. And all
Twisted
that.
Pixel.
Twisted Pixel, yeah.
Fucking loved those games. I when I have
I bought them out.
When I bring my Series S out of retirement, is usually to play something that's like backwards compatible for the 360.
Pretty much the only, other than I played a bit of Avowed at the start of the year, other than that, the only games I have played on my Xbox Series this year have been like Lost Odyssey, 50 Cent Blood on the Sand, and other Xbox 360 backwards compatible games. Like that's all I play on that thing.
As for the second part, sorry, Henry, you go.
I was gonna move on to the second part of the question.
I mean, it's easy. It's Kinect. I think Kinect has some good stuff.
The TV thing, you know, it killed them dead.
Moment. Because even because game development at Microsoft moved away from Rare were putting out like 2 or 3 games a year at the start of that console.
Yeah.
And then they were like Kinect Sports. But with Kinect, it was also at the same time that PlayStation realized, oh shit, we should probably make some games for this thing.
Yeah.
So like Kinect and like Uncharted 2 came out like probably the same month.
I just realized
PlayStation cut the price very aggressively for the end of that generation.
And that is the exact split point that you want to look at, because Microsoft stopped caring about having these kind of must-play exclusives because Kinect was the thing. They were never going to beat the Wii. No one was. I know Kinect did really well, but they were never going to be the Wii. I don't think
it was short-term gains, long-term losses. You know,
and that is the moment. Like, obviously, you can point to like the stuff that happened after with the TV, and all that shit. But that is kind of where it started, because PlayStation then started releasing like the exclusives that have now defined them for years and years and years. These like cinematic third-person games, where every one of their games became Uncharted 2 going forward.
And you know, for as much as people like to talk about like Sony not releasing games, Xbox Game Studios has gotten really good at canceling shit. Like, over the past 10 years, it is like
When's
littered.
Phantom Dust coming out?
Just the like sheer scale of development resources that have led nowhere is really kind of something else. I know Sony had the more recent drama of all the live service games that they called, but like, man, there just seem to be so many dead
Why-
ends in the history of Xbox from the Xbox One generation on.
I think the other problem was at that point with the Kinect, like at the Kinect point, basically, a lot of these studios that they had were getting tired of working on, like, Bungie was getting tired of working on Halo, Epic was getting tired of working on Gears. You know, like all these big franchises either had to, you had to do the let Horizon, like Guerrilla work in Horizon after
Yeah.
Killzone moment.
They didn't
and
let
they
them
never
shift
did.
it up. They didn't
Yeah.
let them change what they were doing.
And I think that was also the moment because Halo and Gears of War kind of mean nothing now. You know,
Yeah.
you know, Forza Horizon is a very good example where obviously it's not the same team, but you changed up that franchise. Now Forza Horizon is probably the biggest game they have at the moment in terms of
Overtaken the main series.
yeah, like in terms of like critical reception and popularity. And also they stopped caring about these kind of like bespoke third party like you really think about that first year of Xbox 360 and like Dead Rising, a KG Inafune Capcom joint as an Xbox 360 exclusive, you know, like they got these kind of
Blue Dragon, Lost Odyssey, all
Yeah.
those they were making the deals with
Oh.
Japanese developers
Mhm.
that, like, you look at that partner direct that was on last week, the biggest thing at it was a spin-off of Vampire Survivors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, that's the partnerships that we're doing now, which, like, yeah, that's a Moneyball pick, but it's not one that gets you much goodwill because that game's going to come everywhere anyway.
That's the thing with Xbox now. Like everything's got. The other thing about what could they have done differently to keep the momentum going, they could have even for the Xbox One. See for the first like 2 or 3 years, they were putting out better games than PS4 were. You had fucking Knack and Killzone coming out and the Order 17 whatever. But like Xbox were like Dead Rising 3. I believe people like Rise, I never played it. Sunset Overdrive, like there were Killer Instinct. There were more games coming out at the start of that generation. And then it was just like, okay, now what? Halo 5 came out and everyone stalled. Gears 4 was a shit in the floor. Crackdown took probably about 8 years to come out, and when it did come out, who gave a fuck because it was bad, you know? Like, and then you look at them now, and you've spent all this money. You could have had momentum back. You've sunk all this money in, but you're Microsoft, so you can afford to do that. And the second, like, we're talking like what 2-3 months after buying Activision, the other biggest company in the fucking world, and you're like, okay, everything's coming to PS5 now, though. Like, I know it's just going to turn into a ragging on the Xbox thing, but like, what the fuck are they doing? How how do you expect to? I mean, I know the end goal is let's get Game Pass onto PlayStation and Nintendo because that's where we make our money. But like, I mean, even Sega wasn't fucking putting Sonic out when the Dreamcast was still kicking, you know?
Yeah, and even then, Game Pass seems to be deprioritized now. They now seem to be like, actually, Windows is the platform. Game Pass isn't the platform we're pushing. Windows gaming is the platform.
With
And
Game
holy
Pass,
shit,
they
it's never
realized
been a worse time to play games on Windows. Windows has never been worse.
with Game Pass, they've realized, oh fuck, Call of Duty is not making as much money as it did because we're giving it away for free. I believe that is the whole reason they did that big Game Pass refresh like 2 months ago because Black Ops 6 did not do as well as they hoped. But they've got themselves into this hole now where like they need to give Call of Duty away for free on some form of Game Pass.
And you know, it's interesting. I've said this for a couple of years now, but like, you go into a secondhand store, Xbox games are devalued inherently by the existence of Game Pass. You look at a game that came out on. You look at God of War 2018 and you compare that to the price of Halo 5. God of War is still sitting around like the €20, £20 mark. Halo 5 is sitting at like £4. You know, like it
It's
is
the
basically on
reason.
clearance. It's, you know, they have devalued their own games in a very fundamental way where people just don't think that they should be spending, you know, full price on an Xbox game.
Well, it's the same as Ubisoft. Like every Ubisoft game is like 15 quid 2 months later.
Yeah.
But I think it points to kind of the larger problem we have at the moment of holy shit, these games are very expensive to make because PlayStation could pull a Nintendo. PlayStation, with how much people love those games, could in theory be like, we're never dropping the price on this. But because Spider-Man 2 costs fucking 300 million to make, you've got to, otherwise you're not making that money back. Whereas Nintendo, you know, I assume the budgets are pretty big. I imagine the budget of something like Metroid Prime 4 has got to be kind of nuts, considering that game restarted probably about 3 times.
I've
Um,
always seen Nintendo as being quite good at doing like the mid-size sort of games pretty
yeah,
well, like leveraging the different series
yeah, like
for
putting
those.
WarioWare, uh, not the good Switch one, the bad Switch one, putting that out for like 30 quid was the smartest thing they could do because
Yeah,
that game is not worth 60. I think it's interesting to see how they value their games because Smash Bros. And Zelda being the only games last generation that cost more when, you know, like Mario Odyssey exists, you know.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
and
that's right.
it'll be the same this generation where it's going to be Animal Crossing, Smash Bros, and Zelda are going to cost like the $80 games, and then everything else is probably going to be
But then
70.
Nintendo's always, marched to beat of its own drum anyway. They can, they
Well,
don't ever really drop things below 33% or something like
yeah,
that. Huh?
the marketing, the old marketing people who have the YouTube channel, I watched a video of theirs
Kick and
probably
Krista.
around this time. Yeah, probably around the time the Switch 2 stuff happened, like that got announced, and they were saying like Nintendo really doesn't want to devalue its games at all. Like even if they were doing giveaways, it had to go through like however many people because Nintendo don't like the idea of, and that's why you get shit like, oh, here's Welcome Tour for 15 quid or whatever it was, you know. And in a way, I get it because it's clearly worked for them. Like
Yeah.
Mario Odyssey is still going to run you about 40 quid. And at the same time, Mario Odyssey is, you know, a fucking fantastic game, but it goes the same way for like, here's Mario Strikers Battle League, a game that was not worth £5 new.
A game for which a review I am now cited on Waluigi's Wikipedia page.
Nice. That's strong.
Yeah.
Right, we'll call it there for the questions. Before we go, we have our gold tier shout outs. So, quick shout out to people who support us over on Patreon or through our website directly. This week, our gold tier shout outs are Owen Waters, Chris Haney, Caladrius, Branford Hubbard, Daniela Noak, Guy Thompson or A4 Gaming, and Ali Miracle. Thank you all so much. Shout out to Ali, who has come over from the Giant Bomb community. Lovely game mess community as well. Yeah, so that's going to do it for the show. This
now accepting subscriptions and Funko Pops as well. If you wish to pay that, send Lex all your Funko Pops. When Lex isn't looking, I will edit the description for this video to be Lex's address, so you know where to send your Funko Pops.
I'd never share my address with you, Scott. But yeah, that's going to do us for this week. We'll probably be back hopefully in 2 weeks' time. By then, the Game Awards will have happened. There'll be some announcements to talk about. Maybe some
Metroid will be
2026
out.
games.
We'll be able to talk about that annoying twink.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see you then. Thank you all so much for joining us once again. And we'll talk to you next time.